Hi everyone, I am Andiswa and welcome to the Momentum Velocity Club Inside Scoop series. Thank you so much for joining us. It's going to be an exciting conversation and I hope you're as excited as I am today. So we've been speaking about a number of topics with some influential thought leaders all over the country, covering topics such as unleashing your greatness, finding the art of balance, growing your community while growing your business and others. Today's topic hits very close to home because it speaks to the core of what Velocity Club is about and what we do. And that's help people better manage their money in order to achieve their goals through personalized financial advice. So we all went into 2020 with our own idea of what it would be like. Some call it resolutions, others call it goals or even dreams. But what happens when things change, right? So whatever you want to achieve and whatever it means to you, there seems to be one common factor in all these things: money, mula, chelete, the bag. And that's why today we'll be talking about how you can keep your money moving when you feel like the world has stopped. And joining us today to help us dive into this topic is none other than the social entrepreneur, media personality, best-selling author, Nicolette Mashile.
That I was waiting for that. I was like, girl, you ain't gonna call me just an author. You're gonna call me the best-selling author. Thank you so much, Andiswa. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with you guys.
No problem. It's exciting to have you. Most importantly, talking about this topic, which we are always talking about as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be exciting. Guys, I'm inviting you. Please make yourselves home in the comment section. Send us your thoughts. What do you think about today's topic? What are you hoping to get out of it? And what questions do you have for Nicolette? How do you keep your money moving? What do you do when it stops? And maybe a bit more about her and how she's been managing during this time. So, Nicolette, the first question I'm going to ask you is that for the benefit of those who don't know,
Okay.
how would you as Nicolette define yourself? And before you answer, please try and make sure that you don't start speaking about the things that you do, because normally we gravitate towards that. So if I'm to ask, who is Nicolette and what is she about?
So Nicolette is magic. Nicolette is somebody that has decided and dedicated her entire life to advancing people. Nicolette is born in Bushbuckridge, well, born in Sabi, but I've lived in Bushbuckridge. Grew up in Mpumalanga majority of my life. And I was very lucky because, a lot of people will see this as something that is like, maybe my parents didn't like us or whatever, me and my sister and I, right? But we moved a lot. And I think that was really key to the people that we have become today. And I think for me, it's very important because I moved from Bushbuckridge to Mpumalanga, from Nelspruit, then we moved to White River. From White River, I moved to Grahamstown, Rhodes University. From Grahamstown, I came back to Johannesburg. And the one thing that allowed, which was that my job after that, was for me to meet a very big range of people. And I think that is really key to the person that I've become today. I have learned to be able to deal with people from what we as society perceive as low level, what we as society perceive as high status people. All of us, we're all on the same, we're all rotating and we all have the same needs. I always say Maslow's hierarchy of needs. All of us are somewhere on that level. So I think for me, what I've really learned over the years about myself is that I embody magic, and the only way to keep my magic alive is when I interact with people.
I am magic.
Yes.
I am magic.
Yes.
And one thing I want to know from you, right? Guys, please keep your questions coming. Ask Nicolette what you'd like to know. One thing I'd like to know is, so you grow up, right, in a normal household, like you said, in a normal family, and you think, well, I want to grow up and have a job. I want to go to work. What says in you, I want to be a millionaire? I want to go, I don't just want to achieve, but I want to go over and above that, and I'm coming for everything.
I never had that thought.
Oh, okay.
Funny enough, when I started doing television, the lady who was managing me said to me, so what have you always wanted to do? And I was like, I don't know. I just wanted to be excellent. I don't think there's ever a time when I said, even what I do now, has never been something that I've always wanted to do. I think for me, it's, my mom always used to say to me, "Raga raga manaka," which means that keep kicking, keep going. Whatever it is that you're doing, just keep going. So I don't actually remember a time in my life when I sat down with my parents and said, this is what I want to study, this is what I want to do, I want to be a lawyer, doctor, or whatever. I think I always say life is a series of beautiful moments, and you either capture moments or you allow them to pass as they should, right? I started doing advertising at some point in my life. In fact, I've been a teacher. I've done so many things that I feel have all contributed to who and what I am today, and probably where I am today. The one thing my sister always reminds me of, she says, you always wanted the big house, you always wanted the big car, you always wanted the glam life. And I don't remember that. I don't remember ever communicating that with anybody, but she somehow remembers that. So perhaps maybe, there were instances where I might have mentioned it, but I think I've always believed that you can achieve anything. I was telling people the other day, in the next 3 years, I might just be Dr. Nicolette. And not even doctor by PhD, doctor, medical doctor.
Nice.
Because I feel like you can do whatever it is that you want. Like, why not? If you've got the opportunity to be able to go and study what you want to study. Like, life is too long, too short, whichever one, to not do what you want to do.
So it's a day-by-day thing.
So see, it's not even a day-by-day thing. I wake up and I wing it. Literally, I don't think, which is probably a bad thing. My life coach I hope is not on the webinar right now, because I don't wake up with a list of things that I've got to do and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do. I always want to tell people that although I speak a lot about goal setting and the importance of goal setting, which of course is a behavioral science, right? I'm not a goal setter. I don't do goal setting. I think I'm a big dreamer. So I have these big dreams about things that I think are possible, and then I work towards achieving them, but not necessarily to say, let's say for instance, the private jet I talk about. I'm gonna be in a private jet one of these good days. I'm going to own my own private jet. However, I don't set the goal to say in the next couple of years I'm going to have a private jet. For me, it's what do I have to do today to ensure that private jet, when I go and acquire it, it's something that is not going to change anything in my life. So I think that for me is really how I work. I always say I create the, where a flight takes off? I create the runway, and the goal is at the end of the runway. Whereas other people need the goal at the beginning to be able to get to their goal. So my brain works a little different, yeah.
I think your journey is one that is very honest. You're very honest about your financial journey, and we were speaking about it earlier, how you mentioned numbers, you mentioned facts, you mentioned experiences. And one of the questions that we have here is, can Nicolette remember the first experience that she had with money, where you were like, damn, this is how money works, or wait, is this what money really is? Was it an aha moment at some stage in your life? Is it also maybe a series of different occurrences?
I don't even think I know how money works right now. I think we all learn every single day. You kind of figure out new things as you are going about money. Often I have to go back and reread and try and understand what's happening here. Sometimes I think a lot of people think that if you speak on a specific thing, you become an expert in it. I don't think that it's ever a reality. Nobody's ever an expert in anything, right? So I don't think when people say, what is your experience with money? I think it is important to go back to the fact that we've all had new money at some point. I don't think I have one isolated incident where I can say, oh, this I remember being my aha moment with money. I think you gradually learn. But what I know is that I was thrust in an advertising space very early. And in my advertising journey, when I worked in an agency, I was literally heading up everything. So I actually need to unlearn a lot of things, because I saw big money even before I was earning big money, which it wasn't my money, and that is already like, it's sitting on my neck, So I think there were a lot of things I had to unlearn about money, because even when I started the journey of financial education, I realized that I needed to take a couple of steps back, because I thought I knew. I didn't. So I had to take a couple of steps back to say, okay, but how does this work? How does that work? And I feel like, and whenever people ask me, what is my relationship with money? I always say my relationship with money is progressive, because every single day I'm finding out something. Do you know how integrated money is in our life? The fact that I'm sitting in this chair today is because of money. Money is such an enabler. The fact that I have this weave, the fact that I'm wearing the dress I'm wearing, the shoes that I'm wearing, trust me, I could be wearing a different dress, a cuter one, but people get me. So money is so integrated into our lives that sometimes we don't even realize how deeply integrated it is. And for me, you can never ever have that aha moment when it comes to money, because remember, you also have what is called your social dials and your money dials.
So your social dials have to work with your money dials. So whatever it is that you deem gives you the greatest satisfaction when it comes to your money needs to speak to your social dials. So if you know that you are a rich auntie, but you don't have the money to be a rich auntie, those two things are slangani. So already you're never going to have that aha moment because you're going to keep trying to strive for more and more and more. So I don't think there's ever that moment where you go, okay, yeah, imagine.
Very interesting. There's a comment here, and I'm seeing the comments, guys. People are saying they love what you share, and they get a lot out of the different recommendations that you make or the guidance that you show. Or I think it's even sharing your own personal experiences, hoping that someone out there can actually learn from them. And someone's asking here, how does Nicolette stay focused when it comes to challenges? Because we all know that it's not always glitter and glam.
Yeah.
There are those pits where you go down. But I'm sure maybe they're asking from a point of you've got a high energy. You're always happy, and it looks like you're just winning and killing everything that you actually come across.
Yeah.
But when there's challenges, how do you stay focused and on the game despite those challenges?
I think I remember who I am. I think the one thing that I learned from a very young age was to get to know who I am as Nicolette. As I said, my parents, when I was 8, my sister Bridget, that I speak a lot about in the book, when she was 10, we moved to Nelspruit Primary School, and there wasn't a boarding school, so my dad put us in a flat. And I think that one year, which was 1997, we learned so much about ourselves, and we learned very quickly to depend on ourselves. So I'm very self-reliant, sometimes to my own detriment. I think whenever a challenge comes up, I sit and I ask myself, also I let go of things, me, I'm team let go. I don't dwell on things. I don't do regrets. I have no time for those kind of things. So I'm the type of person where I will assess the situation and say, do I really need to give my effort as Nicolette to this thing, or has this thing defeated? It's okay to be defeated, Jan. We move on, we keep moving, keep things moving. So I think the other thing that I've always done is I've always said, how important is this specific thing to Nicolette? Is it really something that I need to be fighting against every single day? Is this a challenge that is going to build me, or is it actually going to continuously break me? If it's something that's going to continuously break me, says I will pause. Funny enough, when I was in a relationship, those relationships, the one thing I always used to say to my partner is, when we are fighting, we need to have a pause button. Because I grew up in a household with 4 girls, okay? Like in my house, there's too many of us, man. So if you're quite alone by yourself and go sit in the corner. So I grew up also understanding that you can't hold grudges, you can't be upset all the time. And I'm a middle child, so I mean already the odds were against me, right? So one thing that I always say is you need to learn to have a pause in life. You can actually be upset and put a pause on something and carry on with the rest of your life. So let's say you and I are dating, and we're fighting about something, so pause, but we must carry on. I must still be able to tell you jokes. Now, if I can't tell you jokes, how's it going to work now? Do you get what I'm saying? So in life, a challenge is an isolated incident. It is not a bad life. You don't have a bad life. It's an isolated incident of one specific thing that is challenging you right now. Now, you got to sit and ask yourself the question, am I going to allow this to ruin everything? Or am I going to put a pause on this thing? Let me go and think whether or not this is worth it. And if it's not worth it, let go. So I'll give you an example. In 2013, I think, if not 2012, I went to, there used to be a radio station called Rock FM at Northgate. I wanted to be a broadcaster, but a radio broadcaster with my entire heart. And I think also because of people's influence, people say you speak so well, you got a good voice for radio, go to radio, do radio. I went there. It took me, it threw me on the ground, it stepped on me. And then I remember driving home this one day, and I said to myself, I'm not a bad radio broadcaster. Right now, young show like this thing. Just put this thing on pause. Put it on pause. I went back to radio in 2018. So since 2012, 2013, I said, put this thing on pause. Because right now, it's not doing anything for me. It's not doing anything for my confidence. It's not doing anything for the self-esteem that I've been trying to build for years. But I will pause. And I chose. And I said, when it is the right time for me to go back to radio, I will go back to radio. So I think that's how I stay focused. I think some things, Some things you don't need to force. Some things you don't need to raga and kick down doors. Some things you need to ask yourself the question, is it worth it for you? And that's where you will get your answer.
I love the way you ended with, is it worth it for you as an individual, right? So analyze where you are, take a breath, stop if you must. And it's important to pause. I think that's a powerful, a very, very powerful line there, that it's okay to take note. And because I think sometimes we're always rushing to move forward to the next thing, but it's also important to just take in, analyze and realize. And also, gosh, there's a lot of punchlines that you let out there that you can also be defeated and it's okay. Maybe that wasn't for you. Or maybe that's not the space that you should be.
And maybe it's not the time.
True. Or the timing is not right. There's a couple of questions going through here, specifically about Nicolette. Which insurance policy should I take? Nicolette, what are the best investments? And I mean, I know us at Velocity Club, we always say your situation is different. And you just said that ending now, that your circumstances are also different. So the blanket approach of one solution fits all usually doesn't work with finances because it depends on where you are, what your needs are. But I'm not going to ignore the question. So I just want to put it to you as well, if you'd like to comment.
Yeah, let me comment on that. The reason I do financial education is so that we can combat those kind of questions. Let me give you an example. A lot of people during COVID asked this question, should we be buying shares? The reality is, what does the market say? If you go outside and there's a dark cloud, last night you watched the weather and it said it's going to, there's 80% of rain. You go outside, the weather is, the dark cloud is there. Rain, you can smell it in the air. You can smell the rain. You take public transport. Are you going out with an umbrella or not? You gotta make the decision, because at the end of the day, if everything says, yes, it is going to rain, you take your umbrella and you go to wherever you're going. So even with financial education, it is important that people understand Ubuntu. There is no one who's going to tell you which investment to invest in. There is no one who's going to tell you which policy to invest in. There is nobody who's going to tell you what to do with your money. At the end of the day, it is your money. You need to assess it. You know what confuses me? People think that there's some big secret when it comes to money. None of us have gone to school for dating, but somehow we know how to date. Somehow we know which boyfriend to choose, which girlfriend to choose. But when it comes to money, we somehow think that there must be some school that you're going to. No. Apply the same logic that you apply for everything else in your life. Take the facts, use the facts to make a decision. Let's not confuse the situation. If you are looking for an insurance policy, what are you trying to secure? Right? Which company speaks to your needs? Which policy speaks to your needs? Will you be able to afford that premium? It's about you now. Because what you can afford, the other person might not be able to afford. Or what you may afford, I can afford 10 times that. So it is important, and I like the fact that you said here at Velocity Club, we believe that we all are unique beings, we all have our own different circumstances, because that's a reality. But what is really important is that we've got to educate South Africans and any other Africans to understand that at the end of the day, the facts are the facts. And if you understand how things work, it is easy for you to then make a decision. Because I will never tell you when is the right time for you to buy property. Because even if the market is ripe for buying property, even if we are in a buyer's market, the reality might not be a buyer's market for you. Are you in a good space to be able to buy? That's the question. So I think it's important that we at the forefront of making financial decisions, we allow ourselves to become more financially educated. But also important, which is something I also write about in the book, is to remember that it's not black and white. There are shades of gray, there are shades of blues and hues and all sorts of things. Life also happens in parallel to you making financial decisions. So you can, and we said Murphy's Law, you can save and save and save and save. And then when you reach that pinnacle of your goal of saving, boom, something happens and you need that money. Because life happens. You can't isolate money. Money is not a thing that happens outside of your life. Money happens in your life. Money is part of your life. Your financial decision making needs to be purposeful to the goals you want to achieve. Don't isolate financial goals from life goals. The moment you do that, you are now living a separate life. And when something happens on the life side, it's going to impact the money side, and then it's because you've separated these two things. These two things go hand in hand. So if you're going to be making financial decisions for yourself, it is important that you assess your own situation. After assessing your situation, assess the market. What does the market say? Does the market support the decision making that I am making?
I completely agree. I think the message there is that someone in the comment section as well said the decision is yours, right?
Ultimately.
And I also want to challenge people. I definitely believe in financial education, but I think there's also an opportunity that if you do not know how to assess the markets, don't play in that field and risk it, right? So if you know that you don't know what's going on, try as much as possible to get the financial education and even get someone who's actually an expert in that field.
Of course.
Because I don't know how to do hair, right? But I want a nice hairstyle. It doesn't mean that I necessarily have to know how to do hair in order to do my own. So ask the right questions.
But you will be able to identify an ugly hairstyle.
Correct.
You'll be able to identify a hairstyle that is chowing your hairline because you'll be like, that hairstyle is not for me. So that's why financial education is far more important than you trying to go to a financial advisor before you yourself are educated. Because tomorrow you're going to wake up and start blaming and going on social media and writing there, they've been telling them because you did not understand. So the problem in South Africa that we've got is that we've got a hero effect in South Africa. Oh, we love heroes in South Africa. So we've got this hero effect thing that we do in SA where we want you, Andiswa, to be my hero. So Andiswa must make all the financial decisions for me. I will sit here on the back and just wait. Then the day something happens that Andiswa does not have control of, I'm going to come back and say, Andiswa, go inside. The reality is that you also as an individual, you have a responsibility that if Andiswa does something and makes a decision on your behalf, you may be able to say, Andiswa, but Yasin, I'm going to have a baby, because Andiswa doesn't know your plans. I'm going to have a baby in the next 3-4 years. Is it possible that maybe we increase this life insurance? Andiswa might not be privy to those things. And even if she asks, we know we've seen it so many times. The financial advisors do ask the question, but people don't have a full scope of what their life actually looks like. People don't have a full scope of what they want to achieve in life because going back to that thing of they like to separate financial and lifestyle goals. The reality is you have a lifestyle and you've got a financial goal and they've got to go together. So you need to be able to tell your financial advisor and say, Yasin, I know the things that are going to impact my finances. The fact that you know, let's say for instance, tax, you know that you've got a little sister who's in grade 10 this year, which means in 3 years' time, she's going to be matric. Then she's going to be in varsity. And you know that there's no other money. Everyone is looking at you, yet you do not plan for it. You don't tell your financial advisor, uyeza, ubaba, uzotinga, iskolo. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's those little intricate things about our lives that we don't tell our financial advisors, that then deem the financial advisor not good enough for you because you did not give them the full scope. That's why I said the education is important for you because you will know how to forecast. Then you go to Andiswa and say, Andiswa, this is what I'm going to be doing in the next 5 years. Then you, with your expertise, you will be able to give me a proper plan of how I can do this.
It's very, I completely agree with you. And I think that how we usually start conversations with people who want financial help is we have an entire session first where we say, tell me your life goals.
Yeah.
And immediately when you say, let's talk about your life goals, people go to, I need 40,000 Rand and I think I need insurance and at Velocity Club, we like to change and sort of rewrite the way things are done.
Yeah.
So tell me what you want to achieve.
Yes.
It's a life goal conversation and you can't separate the two. You're completely right. Because once you separate the two, then you have two things that you're trying to achieve that are not necessarily speaking to each other. So get financially educated, which is brilliant. Know what you need, then have the conversation. And then you'll be able to draw on the expertise and actually leverage off them because you know where you stand.
Yes.
We're going to go to another phase, but I definitely want to take a question that came through. And that said, Nicolette, what's the best financial advice that you've ever received or heard? And from who? Maybe if I can add.
Oh, it was from my dad. My dad said to me, don't be sensational. That was the best financial advice I got because, you know, when he said it, the first time he said it to me, I just bought a car. He said to me, park your car and drive the Isuzu home. Mind you, this is an Isuzu that was manual transmission. The windows were winding windows. and I just bought myself a brand new VW Scirocco R. I was about to show Bushbuck Ridge that girl has arrived. And my dad said, pack that thing there and drive the Isuzu. And he said to me, don't be sensational. And I wanted to understand what he meant. And I think for years I couldn't understand it. But what I've come to realize, and age is such a great teacher, right? Is that money doesn't need to be shown. You don't need to show money. If you have money, we will know. You don't need to walk around showing everybody that you've got money. There's no need. Because that's when you start attracting the attention that you don't actually want, or the attention that you don't have the emotional intelligence to be able to cope with. So I think for me that has been always the best. And the thing is that it's such a loaded statement, don't be sensational, because it also reminds me to stay within my lane. It reminds me to live below my means. It reminds me not to spend money I don't have. It reminds me that the life I'm living is mine and does not need to be everybody else's. So that for me has been one of the best advice that I've ever received, and I think I will always cherish it. Although I feel like my dad sometimes is a bit like rough around the edges. So when he said don't be sensational, I was just like, oh please, don't be old-fashioned. But now as I get older and older and older, I start to understand what he was trying to say.
It all makes sense.
It makes sense.
It makes sense.
I'm just like, hey man, hey, you were actually right. There's really no need. There's no need.
There's a question about how do you stay disciplined in saving when you're earning a low income? And I know you speak a lot about how you started saving when you were earning a low income. So you didn't wait for that big salary to start putting something away.
Yeah.
So what helped you in staying disciplined, even though you're like, it's only 5,000 rand.
Plus,
10,000 rand.
I grew up in a village, guys. I have zero taste. I did not. You know what really helped me? Lack of exposure. See, lack of exposure is a brilliant thing. When you don't know, you can't go and buy something you don't know. So I didn't know, to be quite honest. When I came to, as I said, I moved from Mpumalanga to Grahamstown. There's nothing much there in Grahamstown. Let's not even lie to people. Y'all just got a McDonald's, so please. And then I moved from Grahamstown to Johannesburg, and I lived in Forest Hill, and I knew nothing. I didn't know restaurants. The restaurant that I used to go to was Spur. My father used to take us to Spur on birthdays and at the end of the month. So I didn't know about all these fancy restaurants. And then I also stayed away from Sandton City. I was like, I'm not going to Sandton City. There's nothing there for me. So I think for me, it was lack of exposure, right? But I do think that the reality at the end of the day is where you try to go. You as a person need to know where you are trying to go. Discipline is, you see, the thing is, you've got to ask yourself, and I always say to people, do this exercise. What are you disciplined in? Because if there is something in your life that you have discipline in, take whatever it is there, ask yourself what is the reason. And the reason why I say this, and I always use this as an example of funeral cover. A lot of our people will say, I can't save, but they will pay funeral cover every month. Why? They don't want the embarrassment at the end when somebody dies and there's no money to bury. They want the money to fix the pavement at home. They want the money to buy a grocer at home. Why? Because they want to show the rest of the world, look, we've got enough money to be able to bury our relatives. So there is something there. There is that scam that people are trying to avoid by diligently paying for their funeral policy every month. Take that lesson and apply it somewhere else. So it's not that, and every time all these studies come out and say South Africans don't know how to save, so I'm like, that's wrong. They save for specific things. How many men can save for lobola? Because they don't want the embarrassment of not having enough money for a lobola. People save for what they hold close to their heart. People save for what they believe in. So what we need to do is we also, and remember, here's another example. A lot of our people don't save for retirement. But ask yourself, what does retirement always look like for them? Retirement for us, Ukoko either moves in with your family, or Ukoko at the homesteads, we maybe sometimes take a closer to her, and that's how it's always been. So if retirement does not look like flying out to destination holidays, gymming, going to restaurants for us, why should we even think about saving for it? So we need to change the reference points of what things have always looked like for our people. So you're gonna change the reference point in your head of what a person with money looks like. so that you can understand the importance of saving. You will never understand the importance of saving if you're content with the life that you're living. You won't. What are you striving for? What you try? So ultimately, it's up here. You gotta fix this. You gotta fix this scarcity mentality. Money doesn't get finished, guys. Let me tell you, South Africa's got lots of money. Money doesn't get finished. We have an idea in this country that imali iyaphela. Why? Because we grew up in homes where imali beyiphela. Because we didn't have other resources and other reserves. So you grew up with a reference point of a certain life. That's why it will be very difficult for you to stay disciplined. You've got to change the reference point of your life. You've got to change the way you see your life. You've got to change the things you think you deserve. You deserve a soft life, and a soft life means that you are able to get out of your house, get into your car, drive your air-conditioned car, go to your job that you like, work in the job that you like, get out, go to gym, go to restaurants with your friends, leave them, and get into your bed that has got all the things that you want. Gotta change the way your life looks like. And you've got to change it here first. Because if you don't change it here, it will never happen here. Simply because you have never actually seen yourself in that situation. So where you come from is not where you're going. It doesn't matter that you grew up sleeping with 10 of your relatives on the bed. That don't matter. But you've got to change what that reference point looks like for you. That's how you stay disciplined. If you are failing to be disciplined in your savings, and you're not using that money for living expenses, you're using that money for, let me tell you, most of us take our money and we spend it on things that we think is where the epitome of our life is. So if you think that having a nice long weave is where the epitome of your life is, you're going to take even the money you should be saving to buy a weave because it's your ceiling. You are paying for your ceiling. You gotta open up that ceiling. You gotta expand that ceiling and forget about your weave. See everything past that weave. That's when you will become disciplined. Discipline is not something that you're going to just wake up and just pick up the phone and say discipline or the online. No, it's something that goes. That's why I say, don't mistake your lifestyle goals and separate them from your financial goals. Because yes, you may have lifestyle goals, but you must understand that they are fully supported by your financial goals. So you've got to merge the two so that it speaks to you. So that when you've got the money, you must remember the lifestyle goal you're trying to achieve. And then you know, I've got to save. I've got to save because I'm trying to get somewhere. But a lot of us, to be quite honest, see a certain life. We only wish for it. We don't want it. We wish for it. We want to drive a nice car. We want to live in a nice house. We want to go on holiday. It's nice. And you know what the thing is? Let me give you another example. Oh, I talk a lot. So let me tell you this thing. I went into a seminar and the James said, who wants to go on a holiday? And everybody's hands went shook. Most of the room. He pointed to a lady and said, where are you going? She's like, no, I just want to go to USA. Where in the USA? Tololo didn't know. How much is it going to cost you to go to? She didn't know. So what we do sometimes to protect ourselves is we psychologically wish for certain things in life, but we know we're not going to get them. We've actually made a decision that we know we're not going to get them. So it's nice to wish. It's nice to talk about, oh, I'd like to go to Bora Bora, or I'd like to go to St. Anne's, whatever. We want to, but we don't know the reality of how much it will cost. How many people in this country think taking a private jet is going to cost them a lot of money? Hey, see, I get a private jet, see, 8. A private jet can keep 8 people. We will all pay 2,000. It will take us from destination A to destination. In your life, you would have been in a private jet. How many people in this? I mean, we had a friend. I remember we wanted to celebrate. He did, in fact, celebrate his birthday. He sent us an email, and it was actually the address was New York City. And everybody in our WhatsApp group was like, "Are you talking about the real New York or like what?" And he's like, "No, we're going to New York for my birthday." And most people said, "I'm out." Not because they don't know, they can't afford it, but because they presume it is so expensive to go to New York. When I asked one of my friends, how much do you think a flight to New York is? She was like, "Yo, I'm sure Yatura." I said, "How much though? How are you canceling certain things in your life that you know you want to do because you assume it is so expensive and so out of touch?" So going back to the question about discipline, how do I stay disciplined? I have expanded my life. Now I dream big. Now I say, you know what I was saying to people? One of the chapters in my book is I hate my house because I really do. Like, what the hell? Who told me to go buy that house? It's all these books that I read, man. Okay, sharp, I bought this house. And then I realized I can only sleep in one room at a time. So I don't need 4 bedrooms. Oh, I don't like swimming because, girl, I gotta leave. So I don't need a swimming pool. I was like, I actually don't like the stairs that I actually bought the house for. So you know what I decided? I like convenience. So I'm going to sell that house. Somebody's going to build me a smart house. Because that's actually what I want. I want a house where I wake up in the morning and I'm like, click, bathtub starts to fill up. Click, coffee machine is making me coffee downstairs. Because that's what I want. I don't want all these fancy things in my house that are not going to help me. I want the things in my house that are going to work for me. So I'm already dreaming big. I'm here to see my Lini smart house, but I know that there's something I can achieve, and that's what I'm going to get. We're going to a smart house, Mchan. It's gonna dress me. I wouldn't have picked this dress if I had a smart house. I wouldn't have been a dress that's a little bit less hot.
I think there's important questions to ask yourself there. A lot of important questions. I like the part about aligning your money to the things that you want to achieve, which we believe in a lot as well. It needs to be aligned. I think there's a lot of questions that we need to ask ourselves about our finances that we aren't. And if you're sitting there thinking, yo, am I really spending my money on things that I truly want? Not on things that I believe I want, or on things that I've been told or perceived that I should have, but on things that really matter to me. And I think that there's a lot of questions. Those are just some of them that you should be asking as an individual about your finances as well. Get educated, try and find the right answers. But I think working with professionals, specifically young professionals in the area, sometimes you're not sure which questions to actually ask yourself. Like, am I okay financially? You know? And it's difficult for me to just come and say you are or you're not without asking yourself the right questions. And that's why we developed what we call the Velocity Club Financial Checkup. So it's a few questions that actually ask you money-related questions. Do you have an emergency fund? If something happens to you today, can you fund yourself for 3 to 6 months? How much bad debt do you have? And a series of other questions that basically try and analyze, like pause and just take record of where are you in your life? What do you need? What is short? What are the right questions that you should be asking yourself on top of that? And I'm going to share the financial checkup with you guys. Please do complete it. And for the people who take it one step further, because we want to financially educate, right, as many people as we can. We want to get people asking the right questions. So if you share this financial checkup after completing it on your favorite social media platform, using the hashtag Moves with Velocity Club, you stand a chance of winning a signed copy of Nicolette's latest release, right? So complete the financial checkup that you see on your screen, share the link on your favorite social media platform, and encourage others to make their move. Encourage others to start asking themselves relevant questions. Am I okay financially? What do I need? And what are some of the gaps that exist? The hashtag is going to be on your screen, guys. So there's a lot of questions coming through, but I think most of the comments are just saying, carry on financially educating, carry on making yourself relevant to us as people. I love what you said about being with different people has taught me that love. Like, it feels like this persona that's far away when I want to achieve. And an important thing that you said as well is, do you know how much a private jet costs? Why do you say you can't afford it?
You know,
do you know?
You know, it's we on Daily Theta, we had Hulisani Ravela, right? And we were talking about self-work. And she said something that I want to steal right now. She said self-work is ugly work. And I 110% agree with her. And I think it's even more relevant for financial self-work. I think there's too many of us who know for a fact, some of the decisions I'm making are not good for me. And you've got to tap into yourself. You know how many times people say to me, I can't save, and I think people, I say, no. It's because you are not willing to actually have an honest conversation with yourself. The surprising thing is that we can all actually become good at our money. You actually can become good at your money. Because money is something that you make consciously, it's a decision you make consciously on a day-to-day basis. You can wake up today and decide, I am actually going to downgrade my car because you know what? My car's installment in Khelilan. And I'm not going to care what people think. Because at the end of the day, when I go to bed, it is me who has to think about that installment. When end of the month comes and my salary comes in and they debit my account, it is my account that they are debiting. You can actually wake up today and cancel the gym membership because you know you don't go to the gym. You know, but the problem is that they're taking money every month from you. You can wake up today and decide to delete and cancel all the subscriptions that you've got that are not serving you. You can wake up today and go to the bank and say, I want you to re-look at all my interest rates and I want you to renegotiate these interest rates. You can go and find yourself a new side hustle that is going to pump money into your bank. Even if it's an extra 200 Rand, that you're going to take the extra 200 Rand and you're going to channel it to that clothing account. And you can finish that clothing account date quickly. You actually have the control to make the decision. You've got the control to change, to dramatically change your financial situation. But you've got to start at the bottom, and that's being honest with yourself. I know myself as Nicolette. And it's like I know myself. I actually remember the one time I had to say no to my homeowners association. They wanted to add an extra 200 Rand to our levy. I said no. Not that I can't afford it, but because on a normal day-to-day basis, I would have said yes because I'm trying to prove to them that I've got money. Hey, it's Nanani. Hey, I've got the right to say no. You cannot just keep adding them 200 Rand every month. Doesn't work like that. We're working on principle here. Principal says you've got to table a meeting. We've got to go into a meeting. This WhatsApp conversations about changing levies is not going to work for me.
So you need to question, you need to ask,
That's
you need to
it.
inquire.
But in the olden days, I would have just said yes because everybody else has said yes, and I don't want to be seen like the poor house at my complex.
I think money is a very personal thing.
Absolutely.
You're right. And I want to ask you a couple of questions. Thank you for the comments, guys. We are recording the session. So tomorrow you should receive a recording. I know people are asking, oh my God, I wish I could share this with a friend. Can we share the conversation? It is recorded. You will get it tomorrow. And I think it wouldn't be right for me to not actually ask this question. We talking about what do you do when you feel like your world has stopped? How do you keep your money moving, right? And I want to know from you, is there a personal story that you can share or an experience where you felt like the world had stopped? This could be due to loss of income, due to retrenchment. These are the realities that people are facing right now. I wanted to save, Nicolette. I wanted to do better with my finances, but I saw another comment now that I have siblings to take care of. There's so many things that are external that come and maybe work against what you're trying to achieve. And you feel like the world has stopped, but my money needs to keep on moving because I want to achieve my goals. So how do you keep your money moving?
You know, surprisingly, it's what I wrote about in chapter 1 to say, we tell people that, and I'm going to use the word fat, that just stop eating, you lose weight. It's the biggest lie. It's a lie, that thing. Stopping eating is not going to make you lose weight. It's going to make you miserable. It's the same thing with money. We tell people, no, just spend less than you make. Your world is going to change. No, it's a lie, that thing. The reality is that you're not on an island by yourself. Things are going to happen. Corona happened. How many of us had to take a job cut? How many of us had to take a salary cut? How many of us lost jobs? How many of us, I work in myself, in my own capacity, I work in television. In television, if you are not shooting, you don't get paid. So all the little forecasts that you have done to say, yo, this year, 2020, we're about to make things pop. The reality is that you've got to learn how to pivot. Got to learn how to pivot. But let me remind you of something. Asifani is about. We're not the same people. There are some people who can handle how to pivot. There are some people who don't know how to pivot. There are some people's personalities allow them to be able not to panic when something happens. And there are people who don't. So you've got to know yourself. And that's why I always speak about identity. I think there's a lot of us who are unsure of who we are. And when you're unsure of who you are, you get swayed by anything. So when COVID happens and they say to you at work, ooh, you're going to take a salary cut, you panic. Why? Because you do not know yourself. You don't know where you can go to go and make a plan. You don't know how to pivot. You don't know how to make money from yourself because you have been over-reliant on this one thing that has kept you going. And generally the people that panic are the same people. You remember when you said, when I ask people, who are they? Then they start by their jobs. Those are the people. Because they don't know themselves. I want identity. So for me, it is important that before you actually even start asking, how do you keep your money moving, is you know how to keep yourself moving. You know how to self-motivate. Get this thing, and people come to motivational talks, they come and they write big notes, they write all these things, they take pictures with the motivational speaker. Tomorrow they wake up and life goes on. Then again, they need somebody to come and sit here and motivate them. You've got to be a self-starter. You've got to be self-motivated. You've got to be self-inspired. You've got to say, I know exactly what it is that I want to achieve and where I want to go. Because when a little thing like COVID happens, and I call it a little thing when it comes to the finances, you can't now panic and say, yo, why is this big? Where is the contingency plan that should have been in place anyway?
Where's your plan? What's your plan?
What is your plan? What is your next move? You can't panic and say, oh, okay, now we don't get enough money. How many people right now came out of COVID? In actual fact, millionaires. Because they looked at, what do they say? A financial crisis is simply an exchange of wealth. Moves from one group to another.
Doesn't disappear.
Wealth does not disappear. It doesn't go anywhere. But the other thing we need to also think about in South Africa, and I speak about this a lot, and I think Garrett Ganderson speaks about it quite a lot in his book that says, Your Budget Sucks. He says, too many people, especially in societies like South Africa, have been taught how to spend money. So we have given people the idea that their salary that they earn is the only salary they've got, so we've got to make sure they spend it well. Well, that is not a bad thing. We've got to teach people how to make more money. You can't keep teaching people that they've got a pie this big. Don't finish the pie because the pie is this big. You got to teach people how to add more ingredients to make bigger pie. They got to make the pie bigger, make the pie bigger. Yeah. The problem is that we're constantly teaching people how to save money, how to spend money. Oh my gosh, don't finish all you. Yes, that is very important because there are some people whose personalities are big spenders. We've also got to teach people that you don't have a limit to how much money you can make. Money in making is limitless, but there is certainly a limit to how less you can eat. Because finally you're going to end up eating your fingernails because you are trying to eat as less and less and less as possible. So how do you keep your money moving is to expand your scope, is to remember that salary that they are now cutting is not your only way to make money.
Yeah. And I think an important point there is what's your plan?
What's your plan?
When everything happens around you, when the things you can't control happen to you, what's your plan?
Exactly.
So what have you planned out? I saw somebody asked, what is the hashtag? It's hashtag moves with Velocity Club. That's the hashtag you're using to share the financial checkup. And I also noticed someone say that I'm already realizing a lot by actually completing the financial checkup.
Love it.
And that's what you need. You need value in knowing that, oh, I've never asked myself this question and I've never done this. And I think one of the reasons that really got me excited about bringing Nicolette to you guys and having this conversation is because of the title of her book. I think as Velocity Club, we facilitate conversations around finances. These are your finances. This is how tax work, which is a financial education aspect. And you always ask yourself, well, then what's your move? This is the financial education. These are the facts. These are the figures. But guys, you need to make a move.
You have to.
You have to make a move.
And if I can tell you how many people during this lockdown came to me and said, I should have saved, I should have started an emergency fund. How many people say to me, I should have taken the retrenchment cover? You've got to make a move. The reality is that too many people always say, I'll do it tomorrow. Too many people are attending AMA seminars. Too many people are reading financial literacy books. Too many people are watching YouTube. Too many people are listening to me on Instagram. Too many people are listening to me on Facebook, on Twitter, but they are not making a move. You've got to make the move. When you make the move, it becomes addictive to make money move. Because money move, the thing is, acquired knowledge is not powerful until it becomes applied knowledge. It does not matter how much you learn. Financial literacy on its own is not going to liberate you.
Yeah,
you've got to get up and make a move. You got to pick up that phone and say to your bank, hello, that interest rate that you all gave me, I feel like we need to discuss that. 24 million South Africans are active credit. They're credit active. I want you to take that stat. 24 million. This was 2 years ago when I read about the stat. 24 million South Africans have either applied for a credit card and a personal loan. They've taken a temporary loan. They're on revolving loans. But only just above a million have accessed their credit report. That's scary.
It's very scary.
That means that 23 million other people in this country are sitting across a bank consultant or a home loans consultant or a personal loan consultant. They're having a conversation about being borrowed money, and not a single one of those people actually know what's on their credit report. So the consultant can say anything to them. They can say to them, your credit score is bad, hey? You won't know. Where is your negotiating power if you don't know the facts about your own life and your own credit history? Then we've got to also fix our relationship that we've got. South Africans don't know how money is made. That for me is scary. And I'm not talking about an average South African. I'm talking about some South Africans who are educated. They don't know how the money system works in the country. They actually don't know how banks work, how banks make their money. At the end of the day, the bank needs us. That is a fact. The bank cannot operate in an economy without the consumer. It's finish and clap. Therefore, when you go to the bank and you say, I want a personal loan, you don't arrive there like you are a miser and they must come save you now. You go there and you say, let's talk business. I'm here. I need a personal loan. You need a customer. Let's have a chat. Mabati 10%. You say, hey, 10% is not great, eh? Then you're like, okay, let me go to bank number 2. They'll start to panic. They'll be like, no, ma'am, let's see what we can do for you. Because banks understand profits. Banks understand retention of customers. But when we walk into the banks, we are already tatazelaring.
We don't understand.
We just want approved.
We don't know.
We just want approved.
Yeah.
People in this country go into credit agreements without knowing the terms and conditions. That is not even ethical. It's not ethical. You cannot go into a credit agreement where if I say to you, Andy, you bought a car last week, what is the interest rate that you receive? And you say to me, I don't know. You're stressing me. These are things I talk about on a daily basis, which means that you are hearing those things. I will pose you and the question, do I know my interest rate on my loan? Do I know the interest rates on my car? And if you don't know it, you better pick up the phone and call the bank and say, listen, I feel like we went into a very, very illegal credit agreement because I don't know my interest rate. How many people in this country go through reckless lending simply because by the time we go to the bank, we are financially distressed and siyangcenga. So the bank borrows you money that you should not be borrowed. And when the bank says no to you, banks don't like abantu abamnyama. No. They're trying to protect you. The bank has a responsibility. Not even just the banks, any financial institution in this country has a responsibility to play their role in protecting the consumer. If the bank says your affordability and your credit rating is not good enough for you to get a loan, go back home. In fact, before you even go back home, sit with the bank assistant and say, okay, how do I fix the situation? Then you go back home and you implement what they said. Don't push. Because when you push, somebody in the bank, somebody in the financial institution is going to try and help you to get that loan.
It's not going to be good.
And it's not going to be great in the long run.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And there's something else that you mentioned in your book. Guys, if you haven't completed the financial checkup, please complete the financial checkup. Know more about where you stand, what opportunities are available to improve, and how you can move forward, right? And then share the financial checkup on your social media and encourage others to do the same. Let's encourage people to start asking the right questions. Let's encourage them to start acting on those things. And there's something that you say in your book that I love saying, and that is, when people know better, they do better. And I honestly believe that. And that's why I'm in the work that I do, because I believe that if our people are empowered through knowledge, if our people know more and are exposed to more, they definitely will make better choices. But you have a different way of saying it, which is new for me, but I'm going to take it from now on. But you said, when you know better, you act better, you behave better, and then you do better. And I think that's where we're missing the link. The act and the do and the change and the move before it becomes better.
Yeah.
So to someone who's saying, okay, Nicolette, I know you've been talking about me and you've been saying that you've been preaching, and I know Velocity Club has also been encouraging me to change my finances, to become financially healthy. And I think I get it now, and I want to wake up tomorrow and I want to do something. But where do I start?
Do the checkup. Do the momentum velocity checkup so you know where you are. And be honest.
That's another thing, hey?
This is not, you see, here's the thing. Nobody can see you. It's between you and your maker. Just for today, be honest. And let me be very clear. If one of the questions is, do you have a life insurance?
Be honest.
Don't say yes if you don't know the contents of your life insurance. Because if we're being honest. you don't have a life insurance, if you don't know how much you're insured for, if you don't know what are the terms and conditions of your life insurance, if you don't know whether your life insurance is going to pay out or not, then you don't have a life insurance because you actually don't know the policy you've got.
Sure.
You don't say yes to a I went on a trip, a financial literacy tour last year with one of the state-owned agencies. And one of the biggest topics, so we decided we're not going to have a topic, we're just going to talk. One of the biggest things that came out there, the people don't even know what their pension plan is. They've signed up to one, they paid every month because my employer pays, I pay. But they don't know it.
You
can't have what you don't know.
Yeah.
When I ask you and I say to you, how much is your pension fund going to pay out? And you say to me, I'm not really sure, you don't know. So that is already problematic. So that's why I say, when you are doing the checkup, be very honest. If you have a retirement annuity and you don't know, you don't have it. If people say to you, do you have bond insurance, and you don't know how much you're covered for, you don't have it. Go sit down, have a conversation with yourself, pour yourself some glass of wine, okay? A nice bev.
It's Friday.
It's a young Friday. Pour yourself a bev.
Pour yourself a bev.
Sit down.
Yeah.
Pull all your documents, put them here. They're written in jargon. Don't worry, we're going to solve that soon. We're going to get South African government to start infiltrating your guys' industry because you guys like to write in these big words where no one understands. Sit down with your bev and ask yourself the question, what is the plan? Because that's the other thing you guys like doing. You like saying, not going to tell my children that they are beneficiaries to my pension fund because they're going to kill me. No, they're not going to kill you. If it is your time to die, you're going to die. But rather die knowing that your work and your legacy is going to be protected and it's going to go to the right people. Chicken. How are you going to pay a life insurance for all these years and then all of a sudden when you die, nobody knows you had a life insurance? So you're just donating Jele by momentum. It was nice, you're donating. You're going to sit your family down. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something that is important. If the people that you have given birth to, your offspring, do not understand financial education, you've done nothing. You have done zero in life. Because they are not going to break down the barriers or the pillars that uphold poverty, especially within our circles. Because you are going to perpetuate it. It is important that you yourself get yourself right. So when you are doing that checkup, ask yourself some very important questions and don't be ignorant. Ask yourself those questions. This medical aid, when is this medical aid going to pay out? Will it pay out if I have cancer? Do you know how many people fight at hospitals? You must go to the finance department and just sit there. Go and listen to how many people fight about whether their medical aid is going to cover the bed, the food, the cesarean, the cancer. They don't know. People just take medical aid without knowing what it's going to cover. You know what a lot of people do in this country? You ask them, so what is part of your retirement plan? My employer has a retirement plan. If you are only reliant on your employer's retirement plan, you are already failing in retirement. Go and sit down and do the calculator and ask yourself, will I have enough? See, the other thing is that what I realized is that South Africans don't like to do this because they don't want to find out the truth. You know that thing where if you are having a situationship with a boy and then you know that he actually has a girlfriend, but you don't want to ask that question because you don't want the truth. So you don't want to because you don't want to know the truth.
Yeah.
Do the checkup. It's better to know than find yourself in a situation where you're now fighting with momentum on social media because you didn't know.
Know what you have. Guys, we're running out of time.
Oh no!
We are running out of time. I told you it's going to be a lit conversation, a conversation about money. And a statement that I took there is that if you don't know, you don't have. So what do you have? What do you have and how does it work?
Yeah.
Definitely poke, probe, ask yourself the right questions, make sure that you have the information. And before we go, somebody's asking me, where do I get the financial checkup? We shared it, so it's going to pop up on your screen. All you have to do is click on it and make sure that you complete it. If you want to win a copy, a signed copy that will be delivered to your door of what you need to, after completing the financial checkup, actually share it on your social media platform. Encourage others to do the same. Nicolette said that if you have not taught your children about financial education, if you haven't taught your sister or your brother, you are not.
And your friends.
Don't hoard the information.
Oof.
share it and share it and share it. Let everybody ask themselves the right questions and make better decisions, because that's what we want to do. Nicolette, I don't want to say goodbye. I feel like there's a lot that we could have covered and way more, but when we are ending, like coming to an end, what's next for Nicolette and what she wants to do?
Sure, I'm really excited. We're about to open the Financial Organic Gym, so that's going to be quite exciting. It's a wellness center. It's based in Mill Park in Mill Park. Basically, it's premised around the idea of you've got to train your money. With everything in life, you may have a skill, you may have a talent, whether it's soccer, whether it's netball, whether it's your job. You know, there is continuous what's it called, professional development, whatever it's called. So even with your money, you know, it doesn't matter how good you may think you are with your money. There's so much more that you can learn about yourself. So we're doing that. We've got a board game coming out. So really excited about that. It's called Save and Spend. So we're going to be doing quite a number of things that really, for me, are promoting and creating awareness around financial education. I think we all deserve it. And I think if I can get anything out of this year, is to get more people speaking about money. Let's speak about money. I know employers hate what I'm about to say now. If you are also hiding your salary at work, you are perpetuating the pay gap.
What a closing line. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Nicolette, for coming, and thank you for sharing your insights on financial education and just knowing better. It's been absolutely amazing, quite an enriching conversation. And I think if I get anything out of this conversation is to have people make a move.
Yeah.
You've heard it before. Save, get out of debt, know what your financial goals are, know what financial products you actually have, and what you need and where a gap exists. Just definitely enrich yourself so you can make better choices. If you'd like to find out more about us or how we can help you, partner with you to unpack your finances and understand that jargon and the fine print that seems to be there that you don't really get, you can visit our website on velocityclub.co.za. That's velocityclub.co.za. Leave your contact details and we'll make sure that one of our professionals gets in touch. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us.